Hey, Nicolette, how are you?
I'm good. It's kind of hot where I am. You probably see me sweating right now, but
I
it doesn't.
wish. I wish. You're just trying to make me jealous.
How are you, Kat?
I am doing well. I am doing well in the Great White North. Yeah, we just lost our snow, I'd say, about a week ago.
Fantastic.
Yep.
Oh, I wish I could be at a snow place today, like right. It's okay. We're here thanks to technology. We're now here face to face.
Absolutely. Different sides of the planet.
Yes. So, good evening to you, Kat. My name is Nicolette. I am the creator for the podcast titled You're Worthless. Read that again. Juxtaposition of your very soul. First off, thank you very much for saying yes to be interviewed today. I am very thrilled whenever somebody actually messages me in my podmatch because somebody wants to be featured on my show. Yay! So I like thinking to myself like, oh, okay, so I do matter. So thank
You are
you
not
for that.
worthless.
Yeah. Oh, yes, you got that. So, okay, Kat, I would like to read a bit of your introduction for our listeners today, and then we can get right into it. So, hey everyone, we have Kat Newport here, ACC, CCP, author of Smart Conflict and founder of Oculus Inc., is a dynamic force in leadership evolution. With a commitment to using conflict as a catalyst for growth and innovation, CAT empowers individuals and organizations to thrive through authenticity, resiliency, and momentum. Under the banner of Oculus Inc., CAT provides individual and organizational services in conflict coaching, mediation, leadership development, workshops, and masterclasses. Welcome, CAT. So you're the
Thank you.
go-to person in times of crisis.
Depends on the crisis. Depends on the crisis. But yes, I'm one of those few folks who will voluntarily step into a conflict.
Wow. Okay. Before I'd like to ask, like, how do you do that? Like, on what occasions do you rise to take up the challenge? Right. What was it like growing up as Kat Newport?
Yeah, I was a really quiet kid. I was like that introverted kind of thing, and I entered the corporate world at 19. So I was really young. There you go. So you know what it's like walking into the corporate world and you're not out of your teens yet, and it's just this wide eyes going, "What am I doing?"
Yes.
Being that quiet kid and being that introvert, I had a lot of lessons to learn about managing conflict in a corporate environment. And that's kind of where the journey began. So we're talking many, many moons ago, many, many years ago, many, many. So yeah, it's been this sort of evolution and lifelong kind of thing, trying to figure out how to manage conflict to enhance relationships as opposed to damaging relationships.
I'd like to echo that into entering the workforce at 19. Like I myself growing up in high school, I wanted to I want to enter the workforce as fast as I can, earn my own money and whatnot. And that was my motivation entering the workforce. But right now, at 14, 15 years later, I feel like I don't really want to. Because I think because I started early, it feels like this is not life. Is this all? Is this all? Is this it that I want to do? So, and why I think I resonated so much with you, it's because I think I'm the person who, I don't want to say loves, but I am very good in diffusing conflict. So it's like I would step up and say, what is wrong here? People would come to me and say, Nicolette, something's not right. Even though this is not within my job scope, it's not. Yeah. And you found that you made that your forte. I mean, you hone your skills, obviously. So thank you, Kat, for that. I'd like to ask you. So now we're going down to the questions. How can
Okay.
individuals authentically navigate conflicts in various aspects of life, therefore fostering empathy and understanding?
Right. Big question. We could probably talk for an hour on this one alone. This is kind of where it all started for me.
Mm-hmm.
How to enter a conflict while being true to your beliefs and values. How do you walk into conflict and not get overshadowed or overpowered in that conversation by the beliefs and values of another person? And the first step, and this is where SMART conflict kind of all started. SMART's actually an acronym, and it started in a workshop when I was working in corporate. You got to understand why you're getting into conflict.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you entering this conversation with this person? Entering this conversation saying, Nicolette, you made me angry and I'm just going to yell at you because I want to feel better. That's not why you enter conflict. You entered conflict because the emotions are telling you something else is going on. You have to look forward to see where you want to be so you can move through that conflict into a growth space. So it starts with you.
So, say I'm arguing with my partner. We can take this apart. Yeah. Or maybe workforce. Okay.
We can do partners, we can do workforces. I work with families who are in estate planning, so planning for the death of a loved one. So bereavement, money, and family. What could go wrong? So personal or professional.
Okay. I mean, anything could go wrong. But, okay, say for example, you're about to argue, something is being talked about, and then that person says, but this is not it. And then, like you said, is the emotion that you're insinuating something else is brewing. And so therefore, are you saying that when I'm about, okay, so that person says something and I'm about to respond with something and with my emotion, right? Should I tell that to that person, say, okay, I intend for us to get to this outcome or to get to this, where we're going. I want to resolve this. And then I go back to say, why are you saying that? Is that how we, right? It's like, okay, I'm caveating. I'm putting a caveat. Okay, I want to get there, but I want to argue with you first.
Well, now we need to unpack the baggage you're bringing into the conflict.
Why
Why do you need to argue with me? Why do you want to bring your emotions into it? I'm the one who has the conflict. I'm bringing it to you to try and solve. Why do you want to smack back? You don't have to answer, but that's what you're bringing into this narrative. I'm bringing my own baggage. I'm already coming in saying, Nicolette, I have to talk to you.
Yeah.
And I want to talk to you about this. This is all my baggage, like a great big bag on my back. It's huge. I'm bringing all that in, but you also have one.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm coming to you saying, look, you were late on getting this project done. It caused me to not be able to present to the CEO. We've got to talk about this.
Right.
This is me bringing a conflict to you. How you choose to respond to that is your baggage. What do you want out of me? If I was your coworker, what do you want out of this relationship? Do you still want to work with me and have a cordial relationship? Do you want to still move forward? Do you want to work on other projects with me? Or do you want to go, hey, you can't talk to me like that. You need to step off. Where's the brakes? What are we looking at? It's about that forward look. When we respond with hot emotions in the moment, we're typically responding to something in our past. We're predicting what's coming out. Yes. Well, the last time Pat came to me and she said that, everything happened. So this is going to happen again. So I'm going to hit her first before she can hit me.
Yes. Oh my God. Thank you for that call out.
No problem. It's about predicting. The brain is really good at protecting you. So it tries to predict the outcome, which is why we can get some people who are really hot reactors, right? They come out screaming, yelling, really all the lights are flashing. They're trying to hit you before you hit them so they don't get hurt. So it's all about knowing how you want to respond to that. Do you want to come back with all the bells and whistles? And if so, why? What's your motivation?
Why I'm pondering, it's because I've always been the person to I like being the peacekeeper. Sometimes I get my previous management tell me that, Nicolette, why aren't you stepping up? Why aren't you the person who defends the team? And I said to myself, I need to defend where I know that it's worth to defend, or if I'm just gonna waste my energy trying to defend something that is probably baseless, or just because I wanna, we call it in Asia, save face. Save face means you don't wanna, ruin your reputation. And I always think, because I think there's always a time and place when you want to retaliate. retaliate is such a strong word, but it's like you can retaliate, but I choose to be with myself. And if you say for example, you say the earth is flat, I'd say, good job. It is. Yeah, you are correct. I mean, it is super important to know how to manage conflict. And there's somebody who actually says this to me, said it. He said conflict is actually good to foster or to strengthen the bond between people. Now, I'd like to know your take on that.
I agree
Please do elaborate.
All right. Right? If we're going to go this way, I have no issues with that. If we're in a relationship together, be it at work, be it at home, if we're partners, whatever it is, if I'm constantly holding on to things that I'm not telling you because I'm scared of getting in conflict and losing you, you're not in a relationship with me. You're in a relationship with what you think I am. And I'm letting you believe that. If I don't share with you the things that are going to build and strengthen a relationship together, we're going to have problems. This even translates into the workplace. If we're on the same team and I'm not telling you that I'm struggling hitting my deadline, I'm like, I'm going to be late because I'm worried about how you're going to react to me. Getting surprised with it on the other side is no better. The conflict would be better. Then you'd trust me because you would know that I'm going to tell you that I'm struggling so we can work together and find a solution. It's building psychological safety in the workplace. It's investing in our relationship together.
Again, you made me think.
That's two tonight. I'm doing great.
Yes, you're hitting all the points. Wow. Okay, I might need to reevaluate some of the ways I've been responding in the past.
I would
Thank
love
you.
to respond to something you said earlier if you'd let me.
Yes, please do.
You talked about saving face.
Mm.
And when you say saving face, it brings three things to mind for me. It brings beliefs, values, and morals to mind. The lower we get on this scale, the deeper we get. If someone comes at you with something that you find morally wrong, morally meaning you've been taught this pretty much since birth. You've got it from your religious institutions, you've got it from your society, you've got it from your family. These are the things that you hold core. Very hard to change.
Yes.
If I think one of these things is being tapped on during a conflict,
Yeah.
you're more likely to have a very large response. If you come up to values, these are your personal foundational concepts that you've built over a course of a lifetime. And these evolve with you, right? So your family said, this is one thing, but you've grown, you've gotten friends, you realize that maybe it's not quite that thing, maybe it's a little off to the left of it. It's not as deep and it won't be as flashpoint when someone knocks on that during a conflict. It'll still hurt and you'll still be more hot, but it's not as much as tapping on a value. All you've got to do is take a look at some of the political arguments that are going on today about some foundational topics like marriage and that kind of thing. And these are morals. These are foundational pieces of a person's psyche, which is why they're so inflamed. And when we talk about beliefs, things that you believe are relatively easy to change. Relatively. These are the things that you gather over time. So you're less likely to have a big reaction and you're more likely to be open to negotiation. I see that you believe this way. I believe this. Well, they're kind of matching, but I can definitely see your perspective. So when we talk about saving face, take a look at how deep that's hitting. Are we saving face on our beliefs, our values, or is this clashing with our morals? At which point do I engage or do I not engage? Then becomes a little easier.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Because if my morals are impinged upon, I'm coming. I'm here. Show me where to go.
Yeah.
I'm coming.
I'm going to take my armor with me.
Exactly.
We're going to war.
Yeah, sword and shield. But if it's my beliefs, I'll be easier to bring it down just a little bit. So when you're in an argument and you're telling people, well, just calm down, because that always works. Just calm down. You're essentially telling them that their emotions, which are a core personality trait, are invalid. You're tapping on a moral.
Yeah.
Of course, they're going to react poorly. They're going
Yeah.
to react in a hot way. Validate the emotions. I see you're upset. I'm not sure I understand why. Can you explain it to me so I can understand better? I've just respected your moral stance. I've just respected your emotions. I've just respected your independence and opened the door for negotiation.
Mm, mm.
So, saving face, you got to really take a look at what's involved and how hot you're going to come in with it.
But sometimes, Kat, I do think that when somebody taps on that moral value, the morals that I have or that I have always, that have been with me for a long time, and when they say it's A, but I say it's actually B, my moral says B, I tend to walk away. And you know what? You say it's A, it's A. So what is that fine line, or how would you react, or what is the best way? I think in the context, because again, it's different for every individual. In the workplace, if you're talking about, if you're defending your team or about a job scope that you're supposed to do within a stipulated deadline, then yes, I'm going to do this. And we've always done this way. Regardless, we are going to give it to you upon the deadline. Now, if let's say a person, your boss says you are supposed, I want you to step it up and submit earlier, a month, and that would require me to all my people or staff to deliver that, and I don't want that, because I'm also at the same time trying to seek balance, or I want to protect my team. So how do you do that?
So we've got a very generic statement. Deliver me this project a month ahead of time.
Mm,
Make it
mm,
happen.
mm.
So we
But
now know that there's an sorry?
yeah, okay, let's put another variable here. Resources. 1 month earlier, but resources stays the same, meaning your people, your headcount is the same. Yeah.
All right. So
Mm.
we've got the project management triangle. Our scope is the same.
Because
Our
I come from
cost,
that background, that's why.
that's fair. I may have dabbled myself.
I thought so too.
The scope has changed a little bit just because we've ramped up that timeline.
Mm-mm.
But yeah, okay. So we have time and we have cost. So the time is up, the scope is relatively the same, and the cost is there. So when talking to your boss, you've got to take a look at a few different things as opposed to, yes, I know this needs to be done. No problem, Sally, we'll do it. We need to understand why. So if you're a leader going back to your team saying, look, we've got 30 less days to turn in this project, one of the first questions out of their mouth is going to be why? Why do we have to do this? So this is one of the first questions you should be asking your leader. Can you explain to me the importance of moving this up so I can understand and better communicate this with my team? So you have that basis. Understanding then that our resources aren't going up, so we're not getting any more people. We need to really understand the resource side of it. Can we do overtime? Can we work weekends? What are we doing here? And if those aren't moving, this is where you have to enter a negotiation with your boss.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be no time. We're already operating at full capacity. I understand we got to move up the timeline. So the only other two things that are going to switch here is scope and money. You give me more money to pay them overtime or more money to hire more staff, or I give you a smaller project 30 days earlier.
Or
These are
you take off a part or parts of that scope and you deliver it, you prioritize it. Okay. Okay, that makes sense. It makes sense. So we can also apply that in relationship, right? Like personal relationship, anything.
100%.
So you negotiate. Oh, you said you want me to be here. Okay, your mom is saying, mom's right there. Your mom is saying, okay, get back here. I want you to come. You fly back to Sabah. So I'm in Sabah now. I reside in Kuala Lumpur. So, but I need you to be earlier. So I said, oh no, I can't. I have this thing I need. I need to attend conference. Oh, you choose to attend it virtually, something like that, right? And you attend it here, back home, for example, as opposed to you attending it on offline at the site itself. I'm just thinking out loud.
It's about attaching importance to things. And this is where people talk about work-life balance, and I hate it. It's more work-life synergy. right?
I
It's about how your work and your life work together.
For me, I'd like to again switch it up. Life, work, synergy. Okay.
That works. I can do
Yeah.
that. Totally go with it. We had a
I love-
conflict. We negotiated. We're good.
So we're achieving some. We are in alignment here.
We are. We can move forward with momentum.
Yay! Typical. Thank you, Kat. Okay, next question. What
Yeah,
I
yes.
think we did touch this. We did touch on this just a little bit, but let's see. What strategies contribute to developing resilience amid life's challenges, and how does effective conflict management play a role in this journey?
Sorry, I just take notes. I'm a very visual person, so just want to say on
No,
track
that's the
here.
thing. I took my. I wanted to ask you 2 questions just now, and I lost my train of thought. So I was like, when she was talking, oh, that's balloon.
Okay.
She was like, yeah. And I was like, oh my god, I need to. What if I missed another question? It was a valuable one, so I now took. I took out my notebook and I'm like, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready. You can't throw me something.
Excellent. All right, so we're on the same page there too, literally.
Oh, I see this. Yet. This is a fruitful relationship.
And we've known each other for 26 minutes. This is brilliant.
Exactly.
So resiliency. We're talking about resiliency. So
Yeah.
resiliency for me has 3 parts to it. It has the head, the heart, and the body.
Mm.
When I talk about the head, I'm talking about trying new things. I'm talking about puzzles. I'm talking about challenges. When I talk about the heart, I'm talking about things that bring you joy, relationships, connection. And when I talk about the body, I'm going to sound like your mom. Did you eat breakfast? Are you exercising? Did you sleep well? You know, taking care of your body. So how does conflict come into play here? When you're dealing with conflict, it always involves a relationship. Always. You cannot have a conflict by yourself. A conflict is
You
two
can
different
your own.
perspectives.
Your own.
That's outside of my wheelhouse. I am no therapist.
I am
Your inner
entering into that.
That's you. That's when you then.
Okay.
Inner conflicts aside, the conflict I'm talking about is 2 people or more coming together with 2 different perspectives.
Hmm.
So it's about investing in that relationship. What's the connection? So that brings the heart into it. The body from a conflict side of the house, if you're one of those individuals, and I think most of us are, who gets that pounding heart when we have conflict, the stomach starts to churn, the palms start to get sweaty. We have these physiological reactions that tell us something's not right with our relationship or something's not right in our environment. So listening to your body during conflict, very important. If you need to step away, step away. If you have to hit pause, hit pause. And the head, come in with the head. Look at the situation like it's a puzzle. You think one way, I think another way, and we've got to be over there in 30 days. How are we going to do this? And it's about finding that ability to work together, despite the fact that we are 2 different people with 2 different perspectives and ideas, towards that common organizational goal, or if we're on a personal level, towards our relationship goals. Same kind of idea, different intimacy level, but same kind of idea.
Thank you. When you were talking, I was already imagining 2 people or a team heading towards that direction, and how I wish sometimes, like conversations like this, I wish that I could change certain things in my past. But now I know better, and this is why I talk to people, because I learn and I improve along the way. I'm better than who I was yesterday. So good job, Nicolette.
Conflict brings you closer and closer in your relationships.
That's so true.
Small conflicts to start, to get to the bigger ones later. Practice.
Oh, we can say this. Practice makes perfect. So practice having conflicts.
It makes progress. If you're going to have a conflict with your partner, it's better to have it over what restaurant we're going to tonight versus whether or not we're going to have children.
Ooh, yeah,
Work
it's a
up
very
to it.
touchy subject. Yeah.
Work-
Yeah. Ooh. You've touched some very sensitive points there. I mean, not for me, but then for the people that might be listening. But that's really true. Because some people, couples, they don't want to. They try to leave it at the end. 5 years, 3 years on the 5 years, 7 years on the road. Okay, time to get married. I'm like, so how many kids do you want? Who said that I want kids? Who said I wanted kids? You kind of hinted that you. Oh God! And that is gonna be. It's gonna be the very depth of that relationship if it's not addressed.
These are foundational things that are really, really hard to compromise on. So,
That's
okay,
true.
we decide we want children, but how do we want to raise them? If I'm authoritarian and you're more
Yes.
permissive, we now have two different parenting styles and they are going to clash. If I'm from one religion and you're from another religion, how are we going to bring up these children on a moral foundation? So we're tying back into our morals now. So we're
Yes, which is
hitting
the
that
deepest
base
core.
deep.
Yeah.
Exactly. So these
Ooh.
discussions are important to have, which is why the best relationships, in my opinion, start out as friendships, because you kind of discuss this stuff already with your friends, right? You just sort of throw it around and you never really think about it. And to your point, you don't want to bring this up 3 years into a relationship. You know, I want 3 kids and we're going to raise them in this faith and they're going to do what I say, gosh darn it. You know, we're in trouble.
Yeah. So you were saying just now there were two. I think you said authoritarian. And what was the other one?
More permissive,
Oh,
more
permissive.
open.
Okay. More open, more yeah, like authoritarian. Like it's top to bottom. You do
Yeah,
this.
more relaxed.
Relax. Okay, I like that. I like that more
Free
relaxed.
range
But
children. Yes.
yeah, but then but then I don't know my partner what it is. More of the authoritarian one, so that's why that is the conflict. This is why I'm bringing this up. It's because I'm applying it to me. I'm trying to be subtle here.
An entire episode unpacking Nicolette's baggage.
Yeah. Subject, Nicolette. Okay. In your opinion, Kat, how can leadership skills and conflict resolution intersect to benefit individuals striving for personal and professional growth?
Every leader should be very good at healthy conflict. We can all, when I say leader and healthy conflict, I bet you every one of the listeners has a picture forming in their mind of a leader
Already.
that they've had that didn't do the conflict so good.
Mm-hmm.
That
It was
really messed it up.
so yeah, you can't put two and two together, leader and healthy conflict and it being successful. I was gonna say I pictured a leader, but then it's not a healthy conflict. And therefore I don't think he or she is a leader then, because it is not a healthy the conflict wasn't done in a healthiest way, right? So
I agree. Absolutely. Absolutely.
sorry to cut you off.
No, it's all good. You took the end of the sentence and ran with it. We're good. I mean, we've all had those really bad managers, and I actually talk about one of them in my book, in one of the chapters. And the way they managed conflict was just so terrible. To tell the boss the bad thing, a buddy and a coworker and myself would play paper, rock, scissors outside of his door to find out which one of us might go in and do it.
Go. I talked to him last week. It is your turn now.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I'll have the coffee for you when you get out.
Yeah. Or we can go for ice
This is
cream at lunch.
ice cream in a therapy session.
Yeah.
This is a leader who didn't deal with conflict in a healthy way. I can tell you, we had a lot of turnover. We had a lot of union problems. We, very much so. I mean, we had a couple of lawsuits, to be quite honest with you, from the level of intensity. I'll use that word, the level of intensity they brought to their conflict. So it's really important that as a leader, you create safety in your teams. And that's a safety to disagree with you as well. The people on your team are there to help you think outside the box. And if everybody's just thinking your way, all you're doing thinking inside the box, because everybody's trying to think like you.
That's right.
The more healthy conflict you can have, the more clash of ideas in a healthy way that you can have, the more sparks you're going to generate, the further outside the box you can get, and the further you're going to go with innovation. Because you're looking at multiple perspectives, not just. So healthy conflict is imperative when you're a leader.
Healthy conflict resolution.
Healthy conflict. Because every leader has conflict. Not all conflict is healthy.
Right. Again, me sitting like this because I'm wondering, but my previous job. So it's very hard to say because the experiences that I had, particularly in the last couple of jobs that I had, some of them, because everybody is out to take care of their own, I would say. and they're willing to throw their people under the bus. It's I don't know how to feel about that. It goes against my moral value. And this is one of the reasons why I have now shifted to not want to work in maybe the companies that I was attached to, they were not aligned to where I want to go, to where I want to build myself, where I see myself in the future. And I think that, I think like you, I mean, I haven't asked you, well, like, what prompted you to set up your own thing, right? I mean, it must be something that happened. Yeah, that moment that you said, okay, I want to do this. And what was that moment, or did you have a lot of moments like that?
The final moment definitely was when a company I was working for a company for 17 years.
Wow.
Long
Yeah,
time.
I saw that. It's a
Huge
long
time.
time.
Long time.
Wow.
They restructured and
Mm.
basically said, we don't need you anymore.
Cat,
And
me too.
standing on the other side of that was huge.
I was asked to vacate my role too. So again, another alignment.
There you go. You know what I'm talking about. Standing on the
Yes.
other side of that
Yes.
is and I knew there was an alignment all the way along. You know, I was having struggles trying to fit in and figure out where the next step was with my career and that kind of thing. And it was a blessing in disguise, because I stood up and said, okay, I'm done for now of marching to another person's dream. I want to march to my own, even if it's just for a little bit. I just want to march to my own dream.
Yeah.
And it was 6-7 days out of being let go that I said, well, I've always wanted to write a book. Let's go. Didn't know it was going to be about conflict, but that's what it ended up being. Always wanted to write a book, novel, I don't know. But yeah, so in less than a year, I went from corporate to being outsourced, ink slipped, to writing a book and getting my coaching accreditation and joining a couple of boards of directors to give back to my community and really find that life work alignment, that life work synergy that I was looking for when I worked for corporate.
I love that. How is it so far for you?
If anybody's ever been an entrepreneur, you know it's sort of like jumping out of a plane and you're in that first 30 seconds or so of free fall, not sure if the parachute's going to open.
Yeah.
We've got this.
Yeah, we've got this, even though I don't know if I'm going to be alive in the next 15 minutes or what.
Exactly. And you just give it your best shot. And I've taken one of the biggest risks of my career in the last year. I think I've learned more in the last year than I've learned in the last 10. And it's been massive, a huge transformational change, not just of this is what I do for a living, but this is how I want to show up in the world. This is who I want to be in the world. And I don't think that if I was still with corporate that I'd be here now. It probably would have taken me another 20 years to get here. So yeah, 12 months. I'm not saying this is all sunshine and roses. This was one of the hardest things, y'all. It's just one of the hardest things, but it was definitely, when I look back on it, it's definitely not a bad thing. And I say that with heartfelt honesty. It wasn't a bad thing.
Well, you just gave me a reassurance that it's going to be okay. It's tough, but at least we're not working towards other people's dreams. We are showing up as authentically as we are and we can, right, into the world, and we're building our own dreams and we're helping people do the same. Yeah.
Yes. And that's a huge key for me. Finding that relationship piece to put back into it. Because when you're in corporate, it can get very structured, very process driven. Getting that connection with people was huge for me. Absolutely huge.
I love that. How can individuals, Kat, balance assertiveness and empathy in their communication style? And what actionable advice exists in the broader conflict resolution landscape?
So a couple things come up with this question. So what I like to talk about first are healthy boundaries. So when I talk about personal boundaries, most people think of concrete walls with razor wire on top saying, these are my boundaries, don't ever cross them. And that's not what I'm talking about at all.
Mine will have like a door or like I'll give you the code. If it's important, you can put in the code. But if it's not important, I'm going to, seal it from the inside. So I'll decide when if it's important or not.
We have a lot to unpack. A lot to unpack.
No. Now you're becoming my therapist.
My perspective
Okay,
on
sure.
boundary, instead of having that concrete wall, it's more like a hedge, a living row of bushes between you and your neighbors.
Mm.
And this hedge grows with you and it needs tending by you. You need to trim it. You need to take care of it. You need to water it. And that's just like your boundaries. You need to take care of it. You need to communicate it. You need to grow with it. You need to water them to make sure that they stay healthy. These are all things that go into effective boundaries.
Mm.
It's not to keep people out. It's just to say, this is my space. And that instead of having a door with a key code, you can always slip through the hedge. You know, if
Okay, no
something
no key code, no concrete wall. No key code, no key code. I want live plants, like a hedge. Yeah, I want that so that people can,
I've given you
just
a journal prompt for the evening.
yeah, exactly.
What do my hedges look like? And when communicating those boundaries, it's important to put them into personal convictions and personal statements. I am uncomfortable with conversations where there's yelling.
Yeah.
If we continue to yell, I'm going to have to leave. Instead of, you stop yelling. That's a rule. That's a command. I'm uncomfortable with conversations where there's yelling. If you continue to yell, I am going to have to leave. And then the hardest part of boundaries is getting up and leaving if they still yell.
Actually, yeah.
Make sure you carry through.
Make sure you leave.
Otherwise the hedge is dead. There
It's
is
not
no
gonna
boundary.
be, yeah, it's not gonna be respected. People are gonna say, oh, he or she is just saying this just to rile me up, but they're not following through. So I'm gonna overstep again and continue to, or even escalate it to even worse.
Precisely. And I've used this. I've worked in HR for a while, and I've done grievance management. So individuals coming in with complaints about the organization, and I've used pretty much that line. You know, you need to stop yelling in this environment, or this meeting has to end.
Yeah.
And the meeting ended.
Is it that bad? Like people do like yell. Like, I mean, okay, I get yelled.
Perspective.
Okay, take memory lane. I get yelled during meetings with my teammates. So in front of my clients, not so much, because I mean, if you're yelling, you're yelling. you're saying that your team's not competent in front of your clients and they're paying you. But what are your experiences?
So the ones that we remember are always going to be the bad ones. Always. The human brain is designed to remember the bad things. It's part of this brain in the back here, the one that kept us alive when we were living in caves and fighting saber-toothed tigers.
Amygdala? Was it amygdala? No. Subthalamus. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the, that lizard brain that's designed to keep you alive. When I walked through when I walked past that cave before a bear jumped out and ate my sister, I'm never walking past that cave again. It's what keeps you alive. And we still have that today. We still have that part of our brain that says, the last time I had an argument with Cat yelled at me. That's the most horrible, terrible thing ever. And I'm never going to have an argument with Cat ever again. Our brain is trying to protect us from getting hurt. Although we're no longer going to get eaten by a bear, we're more likely to have an emotional hurt. Our brain is remembering those negative experiences. I can tell you, you've had at least 3 conflicts today. I guarantee it. You go into the coffee shop, the barista gives you the wrong coffee.
The wrong milk. I asked for oat milk and you gave me full cream milk.
There you go. See, this is a conflict. You did not get what you paid for. You now have a conflict. And you go, this is not what I ordered. Can you fix my order? You get your correct drink and out you go. You have just handled a conflict wonderfully that you will never, ever remember because it wasn't emotionally impactful. It wasn't bad. We have these conflicts throughout the day with everybody in our lives. Hey, kiddo, can you go pick up the toys in your room? No, I don't want to. I'm now in a conflict with a 9-year-old.
Yeah, that's true.
We have them all the time, but our brain holds on to the ones where we got yelled at, where somebody humiliated us, where we almost got. These are the things that we remember because these are the things that our brain uses to predict the future so we don't get hurt again. So is it like that? Occasionally, but rarely. 99% of the time, you're going to have those conflicts that, okay, I had it. So what? You're not going to be able to give me your report till tomorrow morning. That's going to be tight. I'll rework my schedule, but that's okay. We just
We
had a
haven't
conflict.
evolved much, haven't we?
The animal brain is still pretty heavy. We like to think with this part up here, but it turns off a lot, especially
Mhm.
when emotions get involved and we
Yeah.
feel threatened emotionally. Because
Mhm.
again, we're not going into the office to get eaten by a bear anymore,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
that's our hunting ground now. This is where we
Right.
make a living. This is where we get our food from. This is where we get our financial security from. So it's risk laden in our own minds. We attach a lot of weight to it. And the fact that we end up spending, 40 hours or more a week in the presence of these people, just the time we spend with them alone causes a huge load of these relationships are really important. Can I get into a conflict and still be safe? Should I not? Should I? How do I get into conflict? I'll get in conflict through gossip, or I'll get in conflict this way. We have all these coping mechanisms to try and keep ourselves safe in some very risky relationships, or things that our brain think is risky, but it's not terribly risky. It's just that proximity, that emotion gets churned out.
Right. Just excuse me 1 second. Can you pick up some hang on. Apologize.
No worries. I could, and then you cut out on me. Oh, there we go.
So it's gonna re-record. I am so sorry. This is my first time recording in my parents' house, so it's like I think they think that this is gonna be a conversation. I'm like, no, this is gonna be picked up by the microphone. It's like, yeah.
So what you're saying is you're having a conflict with your parents.
For the benefit of the listeners, yeah. I'm
yes,
now.
I know, and it wasn't that hard to deal with. You went on mute, you took like 15 seconds, and you're better.
Exactly. I'm better. Oh, thank you for that, Kat. That was really, really insightful. Now,
Thank you.
I want to move on to estate planning, because that is also one of the topics or areas in your wheelhouse, right? So, what
Yep.
challenges do families typically encounter in estate related decisions? And how can proactive conflict management strategies benefit them?
Okay, so there's so much that goes on when you're planning estates. So there's pre-bereavement, so before the death of a loved one, and there's post-bereavement, after the death of a loved one. So before the death of a loved one, I think one of the most loving things you can do is make sure that any conflicts you may have lingering with family members are taken care of before you pass away. This is going to stop the arguments between the first wife and the second wife on who gets the house, or the oldest child versus the youngest child on who gets the diamond ring. These questions, if you can address them while you're still living, take some of the sting and pressure and conflict out of dealing with the estate after death. So, a huge act of love. Don't wait for everybody else to sort it out once you're gone. Communicate openly and honestly and a lot about what your intentions are. I'm going to leave the house like this, or I'm going to sell it and split the money, or this is what's going to happen to the car, this is what's going to happen to the business. Number one. Number two, don't use the will as a tool to make others obey. I've seen it sometimes where, well, you really disappointed me, so I'm going to write you out of the will. You're creating conflict. Now, you think you're out and your sister's in, and your brother has no idea whether he's in or out since the last argument. It's causing a lot of extra
picturing a
conflict.
telenovela, a family drama.
So beforehand, communicate as much as possible. Another thing to take a look at when you're thinking about conflict in your estate is pick the right executor or executrix. For simplicity, I'm going to call them an executor.
Wow, executrix. Oh, that's for female, for a lady.
Correct.
Wow.
Correct.
Okay, I learned a new word today. Executrix.
Oh, pick the right executor. Pick somebody who has emotional intelligence and is going to be able to navigate emotions as they come up, because there's going to be a lot of them when a loved one dies. Not only that, make sure you have someone who knows how to work with conflict. So if your Aunt Sue, doesn't do conflict so well, she probably shouldn't be your executor because there are going to
And
be
Sue
challenges
shouldn't be an executor. Yeah.
if she can't handle conflict. If she's good with conflict, then we're good. Finding that common ground, finding a way forward, honoring the wishes of the departed family member, making sure that all of these pieces are moving, because Aunt Sue is going to be dealing with this for a long time. I mean, in North America, the average time to deal with a will is 12 to 18 months. I mean, it's not like you see on TV. They don't read the will. Everybody gets into a screaming match. They all go their separate ways and it's over. That's not what happens.
No.
It
Oh,
takes a long time, 12 to 18 months to really, really churn that over.
depending
So
on how much you're leaving, right? Then what are the
complications.
assets? Yeah.
Yes. And the ins and outs. If you have a business, then you've got a whole new level. And if you have multiple properties in multiple countries, there's another level.
Oh, wow.
So
Yeah.
you got, things that you have to deal with. So it's going to be 12 to 18 months because you got to do the taxes and all of these things. So the executor's in for the long haul, which means they're going to be dealing with the family for a while. So make sure that executor is emotionally intelligent and can deal with that and has a stamina for that. Is important. If you're one of the family members who might or might not be in the will, it's also important here to understand what your goals are with this event. Do you want to get that house no matter the cost? Even if that cost is you never speak to your brother again. Do you really want to go that far?
Just give it to them. I can't speak for them, but I just value my inner peace right now. Like, you want the hell, you want the yacht, go have this. Anyway,
family
yes.
yacht?
Yeah. I mean,
go for a ride. Come on.
Not me, Kat. It was an example. So maybe in the future, maybe I'll have the yacht.
There you go. We have life goals. Goals.
Yes.
It's about what the relationships are going to be like on the other side of that 12 to 18 months. If you're having a knockdown, drag 'em out fight with a sibling or a cousin or an auntie, what do you want that relationship to be? Do you want to speak to them again? Do you want to be able to go to the family reunions? Do you, this is not just about this finite period of time, this very short 18 months. This is about a lifetime of relationships. And not only your relationship with your brother, but your children's relationship with your brother and your children's relationship with their cousins. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts here that when we focus on getting the house or we focus on getting the business, we sometimes lose sight of that. So making sure that you have eyes on that relationship and what it's supposed to be like or what you want it to be like when the estate management is over.
And does it mean that you're gonna sever the relationships for life, right? Just because you want to get that business and
Precisely.
Yeah, and then you just kind of disown that person, and that, like you said, the kids are gonna grow up without knowing their uncles or aunties. Yeah, it's really sad to say, but yeah, it happens. This thing happens. I do not want that I mean, I do not wish that upon anybody. Most certainly, I do not want that happening within my family, but you can't help it, and especially these high-powered families, right? Very high net worth individuals.
That's why I encourage families to think about potential conflicts and try to mitigate the conflicts or lessen the conflicts while they're still alive. Try and take all the precautions you can as a final act of love.
That's true. And gather them like, okay, hey, kids, come here. I'm not saying that I'm going to die soon, but because I foresee this and I do want to leave this legacy to you. So you take care of this, take care of this. And if they're going to fight, at least they can fight whether that person's still alive.
And they can understand the why of it.
Yeah.
Why did you give my sister the car?
And I'm the eldest. Yeah. And for example, I'm the eldest. So something like that.
And it gives that opportunity for understanding and closure. I'm going to sell the house and give all the proceeds to charity. Why do you want to do that? Why aren't you helping me? Why aren't you supporting my children? Why? It gives that opportunity to process that. Where on the opposite side, so when we move into post-bereavement, there's a lot of unanswered questions if the conflict wasn't dealt with before death.
Yeah.
So making sure you're building that into your relationships, into your family before you pass is very helpful for the health of the relationships after.
Yeah. Thank you, Kat. Right. I'd like to ask you how do you navigate generational differences and diverse perspectives within the family setting?
This question always comes up. People ask me all the time, what about Gen X? What about Gen Z? What about the boomers? What about this? And how does that work? And how do we do this? First and foremost, we're all people, period. And while we have different life experiences based on when we were born, we all kind of want the same thing. We want that respect in a relationship. We want that psychological safety in a relationship. And we need to know where the boundaries are. Some of us are a little more bombastic with our boundaries. We're a little, because of the way we were raised and the generation we were born in, putting up boundaries is no problem. A lot of your listeners are probably saying, there's a boomer. Have no issues putting up boundaries everywhere. You've got a boundary and you've got a boundary. And then you've got generations who've never been taught to put up boundaries because they've had things taken care of for them. It was a protection environment where, we have helicopter parents and lawnmower parents who never needed their children or expected their children to put up boundaries because, here, you can have mine. And they automatically put those boundaries up for them. So when it comes time to do it on your own in a workplace, you have no skills. You've got to learn this stuff fresh. Okay, where am I going?
No.
So it's
That's
really
so
based
true,
on
yeah.
those experience. So when coming into relationships in your family and dealing with these generational differences, well, it's important to understand that there are going to be different perspectives. It's also important to understand that boundaries rule. And it's okay to have boundaries with your family. As I stare directly into the camera, it is okay to have boundaries with your family. One of the ones I like to use is, you go over to the family dinner and grandma says, "Oh, you look like you put on a few pounds again. Are you getting fat?" And it's okay to look at grandma and go, "Grandma, I don't want to talk about my
Grandma,
weight
you
right."
look older.
Wow, Nicolette
I
comes
get
out swinging.
extra that concept.
It's okay to say, "Grandma, I don't want to talk about my weight. Can I go get you a cup of tea?" And when you come back, it's like, "No, I'm pretty sure you put on some pounds." Grandma, I'm not
Oh, that
talking
you're
about my
touching on
weight
some
to
very,
you.
very
You're not alone. You are not alone. You're not alone. But it's okay to put that boundary in place and not engage in that conversation. I don't want to talk about this with you. My weight is my business. So can we go play a game of cards instead? These are okay boundaries. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to hear your opinion about this topic. So putting that boundary and maintaining that boundary in a loving way is an investment in the relationship.
I guess always seeing something or doing something with a positive intent, right?
Yes.
I guess that's one way to look at it. And not trying to minimize that, trying to anticipate something's bad is going to happen. I know we tend to amplify the negative side, the negative bias of it. Yeah.
That used to be a narrative I heard when I was a child. So I'm a Gen Xer, senior Gen Xer.
Okay, millennial.
So, I gave birth to millennials.
Oh, I'm a millennial.
Yeah, so Gen Xer, 1975 to about, I'm a grandmother of 2.
No way. Oh yeah, I read it. Wow. So you have
anyway,
alpha great grandchildren.
I also have an alpha son. My children range in age from 9 to 28.
Oh, okay, that's for another episode. I'd like to know.
You want to talk about raising children with conflict awareness? I can compare my 28-year-old and my 9-year-old for you.
Yes.
Boom. Anyway, back to my story.
Yes. So I shared my part.
I'm an Xer. My grandmother was from the silent generation, and I was raised by my grandmother. So my 1922 to about 1930, the silent generation. Their idea of being desirable and being safe and being secure meant that you stayed looking trim and fit for your spouse. So the narrative was, you're putting on weight, you're getting fat. All of these things would come out, but it's not because they wanted to shame me for being fat. It was because she wanted to make sure I was safe and taken care of, because what man wants to be with a fat girl? It was a different perspective.
Oh, the feminist is gonna come again. Woo.
The
Okay.
face. We're good.
Yeah.
We're good. There's
Ooh.
intent behind it. But
Yes.
because I have a different frame of reference, and because you have a different frame of reference, that aren't you getting a little fat comes across in a whole different light. It's not, I'm worried that he's going to leave you and you're going to be destitute. It's, gee, you're drunk. That's what we hear it as. Gee, you're worthless. Gee, you'll never keep a man. That's my narrative anyway. Possibly yours. I might be hitting on some chords. This is the intent behind it. So understanding that, yes, Grandma, this is your perspective, but I don't want to talk about it with you. This is not our relationship. I'm going to go get you a cup of tea. I'll be right back. No, Grandma, I don't want to talk about it.
That tone of voice, and it's not like you're trying to avoid the conversation. It's that you're disrespecting my boundaries. I sense some disrespect here. I don't want to talk about it. Let us move on and let us have a cup of tea and some biscuits.
And I'm not saying you're being disrespectful. The intent here is to get to the intent on your side is to assume the positive intentions of Grandma.
Yeah.
Okay, she doesn't want to make me feel horrible. Unless you're from a highly dysfunctional family, and then that's a whole different conversation. The family wants the best for you. General rule. So, wow, we have a lot to talk about.
Yes. One thing is leading to another.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Going down the rabbit hole. Assume the positive intention. Say the boundary with love. Restate the boundary if you have to, and follow up. Hit the pause button. I'm going to go get you some tea. Oh, we're talking about my weight again? I forgot the biscuits.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one.
Why don't you come talk to Grandma? I'm just going to go outside and walk around the block for a minute.
Don't you get it, Grandma? I don't want to talk about it. But again, she's coming in from the place of love, not to. It's hard to see it from her perspective, though.
Absolutely, because we've been raised differently.
Yeah,
we have a different perspective on what is valuable. So when we go back to the belief, values, morals, we're dealing with values here.
Yeah,
a woman is valuable because she can keep her figure and keep her man. A woman is valuable what's between her ears. And here's a Gen X millennial vision.
yes,
it's a little more about Grandma. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go.
It's not about what I look at,
Grandma. Yeah,
but we're arguing values. Her values, my values.
Yeah,
I don't want to talk about my values. My values aren't my pant size. My values are how I might feel about myself. So I don't want to talk about it with you. I don't want to talk about it with you. And you keep pushing that gentle message that this is not an okay topic.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Kat. We have a lot to unpack. And we unpacked quite a bit already. That's for next episode. Yeah.
Lots of journal prompts, lots of topics and side quests. We're doing great.
Yes. So, Kat, what is next for you?
What is next for me? Currently doing the book tour, doing some podcasts with some fabulous folks. But as soon as I finished writing the first one, I started writing the next one. So the next book is already started. I have an outline. Nobody tells you that promoting a book takes longer than writing the book. So I'm a little busy.
Right? Yes.
Writing the next book. Next book is going to be on resiliency. So the working title here is Smart Resiliency, to go with smart conflict. But it's a working title. Don't hold me to it. And looking maybe picking up a couple of contracts back in corporate and dipping my toes back into HR to get some more stories and more experience and all that good stuff. I don't think I can sit still. I got to keep going.
I love that. I love that for you. Wow. Whew. Exciting times for you ahead, Kat.
Nothing's dull.
Okay, Kat, we're going to pivot to a self-worth question because my podcast talks a lot about self-worth. So, a question for you, Kat. I don't have my cushion right now, but you know it. It's you're worthy and you are enough. And the question for you, Kat, can you share any personal experiences or stories of self-discovery and how it positively impacted your sense of self-worth?
I think we already touched on that today. I think getting packaged out and getting structured out of my last position could have been a make or break moment for me. It could have broke me. It very much could have. I had been in the industry for 30 years. I'd been in that particular position for 17. So all of a sudden being told, we don't want you anymore. We don't need you anymore. Definitely was a gut punch to the self-worth.
Yeah.
What have I been doing for the last 17 years if it was just to get packaged out? Why am I not
Am
valuable
I not
anymore?
worthy to be holding
Yeah,
this position anymore? What am I
precisely.
lacking? Yeah.
And all of those questions came up. All of them. Like I said, it was an interesting adventure, but it's not been one that has been always smooth, and it's not always been happy and joyful. There's been a lot of unpacking. There's been a lot of dumping a lot of stuff in the garbage.
Yeah.
Trying to really figure out who I am if I'm not corporate. And I told
I
the
love
story
that.
to my
Yeah.
friend
Yeah.
that because I was doing my job for so long, I would walk into a room and everybody goes, "Hey," they know who I am. I've
Yes.
just been there for so long. And now being an entrepreneur, I walk into an event and I look around and
Nobody's,
nobody knows who I
yeah,
am.
exactly. And
I-
yeah,
so
tying,
it's been that journey, right? Of trying to figure out who I am if I'm not what they said I was.
yeah, yeah. And also, I like to tie that back to who are you without your achievements, without your titles, without your accolades, right? Yeah. And it's always okay to pivot at any age, any stage of your life.
Absolutely.
You're a grandma now. Can I say that?
I
You
am.
are, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah,
you're pivoting, and it's okay.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and sitting there, and I mean, I did have some friends go, "Oh my gosh, you're a woman of a certain age. Are you ever going to find a job?"
Oh my
And I'm
God,
like,
yes. My friend
"Oh my
is
gosh,
so
I'm a woman
worried
of
for
a
me.
certain
Is like,
age.
yeah,
I have 30 years left in my career. Don't count me out yet."
that's true. That's
To
true.
do this
That's
all
true.
over again.
Yes, yes.
And not only can I do it all over again, I am now doing it with experience and focus because I'm not having any more children. 4 is enough. 4 is enough. The children can go forth and procreate. I'm done. Not having any more children.
Procreate on
I'm not
our
going
behalf on the
exactly. This factory's closed.
yeah.
I'm not going back to school again. I mean, I didn't get my degree until I was 40. I mean, I'm
Huh.
not going back to school again. This is all about me, what I want, the mark I want to make in the world, and the relationships I want to build now. And I have the next 30 years to do this.
Mhm.
The universe willing.
Yes,
The universe willing.
yes, yes.
But my plan here is I've got at least 30 years to go. So yeah, I'm a woman of a certain age. And the
What you
question I want
seek
to ask
is
is,
seeking
so
you.
what?
Yeah,
Exactly.
so what? Yeah.
So what?
Mhm.
I'm not 25. You're right, I'm not.
Life doesn't stop at a certain age, hello, unless you're like 6 feet underground, right? Stop acting like it.
Precisely. And I
Yeah.
think we as women are bombarded with this message that you're only valuable when you're viewed in the frame of value from a patriarchal perspective. I read an article a couple of weeks ago going, men stop looking at women once they hit about 32, 33. And I'm like, thank God.
Mm. That I
This is
get.
good because I'm not dressing for you anymore. I don't
Exactly.
care.
Yes.
You don't want to look, not
Damn.
my
Yes,
problem.
Kat. Ooh, again, another.
Get warmed up again.
Ooh.
Yeah. Once I hit 50, does my brain automatically turn to jello? I can no longer articulate. I can no longer create. No. I mean, you look at men, they're 50, 60, 70. I mean, how old is the president of the United States? And like 70. We don't have to stop.
Yes.
We don't. We
Yes.
are just bombarded with this message to undermine our self-worth, to undermine our personal desire to engage with society in a meaningful way after a certain age. And I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I got 30 years left.
Thank you, Kat. I'm right behind you. I'm rooting for you. I'm following your
Thanks.
footsteps right now. Jumping
Blaze
into
the
the deep end. Yeah. What is your heart's greatest wish?
Heart's greatest wish to have really deep and meaningful relationships with a lot of people. And I know that sounds counterintuitive. Have a few really good relationships. If a few are good, if I have quite a few or a lot, I think that's just as meaningful. So finding the people that I gel with, finding the people that I sync with, and really investing in those relationships and having the investment come back. I think that's my greatest heart's desire.
Do you have a mantra that you live by?
That's an excellent question. I think the closest thing I have to a mantra I actually attach to the business, which is empowering today and transforming tomorrow. Do everything you can to get it done today to change what you're able to do tomorrow. So empower today to transform tomorrow.
I was realizing that. Thank you. Is there anything that keeps you up at night, or do you sleep well?
I think the only thing that keeps me up at night are all the things I want to do. You know, I want to get this done and I want to do that and I want to do this and oh, what about this? And I was just telling my husband this morning, I woke up and it's like, I had a really good idea in the middle of the night and I was going to get up and I was going to write it down and I didn't. And now I can't remember what it is. But it was a really good idea, Nicolette. I swear it was.
Oh no, Kat. I hope you get that idea back.
So I'm going to bed tonight and I'm taking a pen.
Yes. Yes.
Not happening again.
Yes. Meaning you're excited to start your day. You're anticipating all the good things. I mean, that's how we should be living, right? And we're doing it for ourselves and to make an impact to those people around us.
Very much so. Looking forward to all the things I get to do. Not all the things I have to do, but all the things I get to do.
That get to do. Yeah. Okay, Kat, we're down to the last question.
Okay.
If you could create a quote right now for you to leave to the audience listening and the world as your legacy, what would it be?
Embrace conflict as creativity. And mic drop. There we
go. And mic drop. What a way to close our conversation. My other headphones are like that. Oh gosh, Kat, I love that. Creativity and conflict. Cease, can't add anything more to that. Like that's the... Yeah. I love that, Kat. This has been so insightful and I felt that I could connect with you on so many levels. And yeah, it's so refreshing to see that there are people, not just me, on the other side of the world that feel the same way and want to do good with what they have. And that's, I mean, conflict, and because we're all in the people's business, the work can be done, but it's the people that you need to know how to manage. And conflict is what? You're dealing with people. So get good with that. Yeah.
To connect with people. And I think it's a dying art. How to connect with other human beings. And that's what separates a good leader from a great leader. How you connect with other people.
And then the mic drop moment.
Doing good tonight.
Yes, you are, Kat. So you can sleep tonight. And I hope you get that idea back.
It has to come back.
It has to. Well, Kat, thank you so much for your time. I enjoyed it.
It's been my pleasure and absolute honor to talk to you, Nicolette. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You have a great night ahead. And I wish you all the best in your endeavors and all the best in your long, fulfilled life ahead. Stay in touch, because if I'm coming to Alberta, I'm giving you a call.
Oh yeah, I got a place for you to stay. We're good.
Thank you so much. Every time everybody says that, my guess is I'm like, I'm so blessed. # blessed. Count my blessing. I count my blessings every day. Thank you so much, Kat. Such a wonderful human being. You're doing great work. Okay, Kat. Bye-bye now. I'll see you soon.